Good afternoon, and welcome to the Anaheim Planning Commission meeting of July 29th, 2024. My name is Christopher Walker. Boy, that's loud. Chairperson of the Anaheim Planning Commission. As a reminder, Planning Commission meetings are now broadcast on all channels, including on the web and Anaheim TV Channel 3. First order of business is to salute our flag. Commissioner Kring will lead us in that salute.
Please rise. Just turn around here. Please join me as we salute the flag of our great country. And while we do so, let us always keep in mind our men and women in uniform serving here and around the world, protecting the liberties and freedoms that we enjoy every day. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I will ask the Planning Commission Secretary to take a verbal roll call vote of all Planning Commissioners.
Chairperson Walker,
Present.
Vice Chair Crane,
Here.
Commissioner Lieberman,
Here.
Commissioner Perez,
Here.
Commissioner Tran Martin, Commissioner Castro, Commissioner Kelly.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. If you would all please silence your electronic communication devices so that they don't disrupt the proceeding, we would appreciate that. The doors at the back of the room are automatic. They open when you get close to them, and they don't close until you walk down the hall. Please move away from the automatic doors so to allow them to close and not have the proceedings disrupted. Today we have 3 public hearing items on the agenda. I would ask everyone who is going to speak on any of these items to please complete a yellow speaker card and give it to staff if you have not already done so. The cards can be found on the table at the entrance. When you fill out the speaker card, please identify the item you are speaking on and pick the appropriate checkbox at the bottom of the form as either applicant, in favor, in opposition, or neither. In accordance with Planning Commission procedures and rules of order, speakers will be called forward in this order and then in the order received for each designation. Please keep your remarks as brief as you can. We are influenced more by the content than the length of your presentations. Before we start the hearing, we provide an opportunity for any member of the public who would like to speak to the commission regarding a subject not on today's agenda. This is called the public comments section. Is there anyone here who would like to raise an issue that is within the purview of the commission but not on today's agenda? Seeing no one, we will move on to the public hearing. Prior to beginning the public hearing, I would like to ask the planning commissioners for any disclosures they may wish to make regarding any items on today's agenda. Seeing none, please note that the actions taken by the Planning Commission tonight will be final unless in 10 calendar days an appeal is filed with the city clerk. The appeal deadline for these items is Thursday, August 8th, 2024 at 5 p.m. Appeal forms and information are available at the city clerk's webpage. I will now begin the public hearing and ask for staff to present item 1. Mr. Orozco?
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Walker and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Ivan Orozco, and I will present item number 1 this evening. This item is a request for a conditional use permit to allow a community and religious assembly use to operate a meditation center for the property located at 1655 South Euclid Street. The property is nearly half an acre in size and is developed with a 6,400 square foot single-story office building. The property is located in the general commercial zone and is designated for low-medium residential land uses in the general plan. The surrounding land uses include commercial uses to the north and south, and single-family to the west and east across South Euclid Street. The image on the screen is a current photo of the property. The applicant proposes to operate a meditation center offering daytime and overnight courses. The center is intended to provide silent meditation courses rooted in Buddhist teachings. The meditation center would operate on the same schedule for daytime and overnight meditation courses. The sessions would start at 6 a.m. and end around 9 p.m. The typical day is spent in silent meditation with meals offered in between sessions. The overnight courses vary in length and would range between a weekend session and up to 3 months. No overlap is proposed for the two types of courses. A total of 25 beds are proposed, which is the maximum number of overnight meditators proposed for the facility. Limited exterior improvements are proposed for the property as well. These include a new parking layout, landscaping improvements, and site lighting. The property is enclosed by a combination of block walls and wrought iron fencing. A total of 27 parking spaces are proposed for the property, which would accommodate the maximum number of individuals on the property at any given time, as there would be a maximum of 25 meditators, 1 teacher, and 1 staff member. The community and religious assembly use does not have a code-specific parking requirement. Due to its unique nature, the use requires a parking demand study. It is important to mention that the property is located within a half-mile distance of public transit and is therefore subject to the California Assembly Bill 2097. This bill prohibits public agencies from imposing minimum automobile parking requirements for projects such as these. And although AB 2097 comes into play, the applicant submitted a parking study based on the proposed use, which confirms that adequate parking is provided. Tenant improvements include modifications to the current layout to accommodate the bedrooms for the meditators, the teacher, and an overnight staff member. There would be a dedicated meditation room and kitchen for general use. Offices would be located at the front of the building for administrative services. Staff believes that the granting of the conditional use permit, subject to the recommended conditions of approval, would be compatible with the surrounding uses and would not be detrimental to either the health and safety of the citizens of Anaheim. Based on the analysis included in the staff report and the findings contained in the draft resolution, staff recommends approval of this request. This concludes staff's presentation. The applicant and city staff are present this evening to address any questions.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Lieberman?
Okay, I'm a little unclear on the comment regarding the no overlap between the day and the evening participants. I would think that the reasoning for this is because of parking? Yes, no, maybe so?
Yes, that is correct. There was a concern from staff that the combination of both would create an issue with the parking situation. And part of the letter request was to identify how that would be maintained and controlled. And so there is no overlap between overnight courses, which vary in time, a weekend or 30 days up to 3 months. And so anytime that the applicant or the operator has an overnight course of a certain amount of time, no daytime availability is proposed. Only when there aren't any overnight courses scheduled will they open that up to daytime, but it's still a limit of 25 meditators. So parking will not be an issue based on that.
Okay, and if they have overnight meditators, do the courses run till 9 or something like that? What I'm trying to figure out is if they've got 25 people and they spend the night, when the overnight courses begin at what time?
So the schedule, typical schedule would not change for either overnight or daytime. So the schedule that was provided to us and in the staff report is meditation starts at 6 a.m.
For everybody.
And stops or ceases to operate at 9 p.m. when, the overnight sleeping accommodations, I guess, begin.
Okay, so whether they're overnight or daytime, everything starts at 6. Okay, that actually answers my question. Thank you.
Commissioner Kring?
Thank you. I'm curious, do you have to be a Buddhist to join this or take these classes?
It wasn't clear in the letter of request if you had to belong to a certain belief or religion or assembly type use. Based on the provided samples of other locations, it wasn't clear either that you had to belong to a certain denomination. I think it's open to the general public. I'm not sure if
Maybe
someone
the
is here.
applicant can respond after they get up.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Ivan, because I have a couple more questions for the applicant.
Anyone else? Okay, I guess I'm opening the public hearing, and will the applicant come forward? Is there anything you'd like to tell us?
No, but I just like to address her concern.
Yes.
So the meditation center is open to everybody who would like to meditate.
Okay, and I know there's a vow of silence during the day, but you're teaching a course, so can they respond with questions? When is the silent time? When you're alone or at meals?
So the method is that for people to focus so that they can meditate. So the course actually, they will show you how to do the meditation, but then that's the practice that they have to do. So during the time that do the practice, then people don't talk.
Okay.
And so the practice is actually go from when you're sitting that you don't talk, and they also have the walking meditation. So that's why you do the walking and you don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
And then during the activities, like for example, when you're eating, when I get up from bed, I do brushing, the focus during that time as well, so that people pay attention. The yogi, they pay attention to the mind, what's going on in the mind at that time. Like, because usually the mind will run and have different kind of thought, so they need to be silent to focus and to catch all the thought. And after a while, those thoughts will calm down. And that's the purpose of being silent.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Questions for the applicant?
I'll move the item. Oh. Yeah, it's true. I'm just trying to rush I have
Are there any cards?
before.
No? Is there anybody who would like to speak on item 1 that hasn't put a card in? So now I close the public hearing. I'll close the public hearing, and
Okay, well, I will make the motion to support this item.
Second.
guess we vote.
What are
5 yes votes, the motion carries.
Very good. Now on to item 2. Ivan, I guess you're up.
Thank you again. So good evening, Chair Walker, members of the Planning Commission. Again, my name is Ivan Orozco. I actually will be presenting all 3 items today, so I think I can bypass that. This item is a request for a conditional use permit to construct a telecommunications antenna taller than permitted by the zoning code. The request includes the replacement of an existing 60-foot monopole with a new 72-foot stealth mono-eucalyptus and associated ground-mounted equipment for the property located at 1215 Van Buren Street. The property is approximately 8 acres in size and is developed with a recently constructed 170,000 square foot industrial building and a 60-foot monopole that was constructed in 1996. The property is located in the Anaheim Canyon Specific Plan within Development Area 1 and is designated for industrial land uses in the general plan. The surrounding land uses include industrial to the north, south, east, and west. This is a current photo of the property looking towards the south. The existing monopole was not relocated during the construction of the new industrial building, but instead was designed into the new development for an eventual replacement, which is before you this evening for consideration. The applicant proposes to remove that 60-foot monopole and replace it with a 72-foot mono eucalyptus. The new wireless facility will be located within the existing leased area, and the new equipment will be located behind the mono euc and screened from the public right-of-way. The location of the new mono eucalyptus is shown in a blue circle within the enlarged site plan to the right of the screen. The additional ground-mounted equipment is shown within the orange square, or yellow in this case. The applicant will replace 3 of the recently planted 24-inch box trees with 36-inch box trees of a similar species. These trees are shown in a green outline and are located across the drive aisle and are shown on the site plan to the left of the screen. The findings required to justify the increase in height for the facility are different than the typical conditional use permit findings. These findings required the applicant to analyze alternative sites, provide justification for the request of the additional height, and require that any negative impacts from installing the telecommunications facility be mitigated. The images on the screen are part of the analysis completed to determine whether the proposed location would be the most ideal or if a relocation of the facility would make more sense to have proper coverage. The propagation maps determine that without the facility in its current location, there would be a coverage gap in service. With the construction of the new industrial building, the overall height of the buildings located on the property also increased and are closer to the wireless facility. The increased height for the facility is necessary to meet ideal performance for the antenna. To operate efficiently, the antenna relies on down tilt to cover surface areas, and without the additional height, it would sacrifice line of sight that would impede achieving the necessary transmission angles. Finally, the new stealth facility is in an area of the property that is screened by the newly constructed building. The replacement of the 3 trees would help blend the facility into the natural landscape. Staff believes that the conditions exist for the Planning Commission to make the required findings to approve the request. The proposed telecommunications facility would be compatible with the surrounding industrial land uses and would improve telecommunication service in the area. The facility is designed in a manner that minimizes visual impacts on the surrounding land uses. Based on the analysis included in the staff report and the findings contained in the draft resolution, staff recommends approval of the request. This concludes staff's presentation. The applicant and city staff are present this evening to address any questions.
Any questions by any commissioners? Okay, I'd like to open the public hearing for any members of the public. Will the applicant come forward?
Good evening. My name is Justin Robinson. I represent Crown Castle, the applicant. Yeah, we've read through the findings and the conditions, and we've agreed to everything in the staff report. So if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer those for you.
Commissioner Lieberman?
Okay, so you're doing a stealth eucalyptus that doesn't look like any eucalyptus I've ever seen, but that's not my question. Let's call it the tree, do they shed?
They do not shed. The lifespan of the branches range anywhere from 5 to 8 years, and they're replaced as needed based on wind. But this site, as staff mentioned, is in kind of a unique situation where it's screened from the wind and a lot of the other elements. So yeah, as needed, the tree is brought up to the current condition.
I'm more concerned with the leaves than the branches. Does the tree have a warranty?
It does, yeah. The tree comes with a warranty. Yeah, and the leaves are on there for about the same time period. They do not fall off.
And the warranty is for how long?
The warranty, it's separate. The warranty for the pole is for life. The warranty for the cladding and the branching and the leaves is, I believe it's 5 years, automatic replacement, and then as needed after that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we opened the public hearing already, so is there any public comments? I guess I will close the public hearing. I'll get it eventually, I promise. And open discussions. Any commissioners have any comments?
I'll let somebody else make the motion, but I will vote for this, but only because it's so well hidden by the building. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be voting that way. For what that's
I'll make the motion to approve.
Anybody second?
Second.
We vote.
Five yes votes, the motion carries.
Okay, on to item 3.
Put up at the ranch. Who's still doing it?
Apologies for that, just clearing out one minor item. So, ready? All right, last item this evening is a request to amend an existing conditional use permit number 3509, to allow the sale of alcoholic beverages for on-site consumption within an existing ice skating rink for the property located at 1000 East Cerritos Street. The subject property is nearly 2 acres in size and is developed as an indoor skating rink. The property is in the industrial zone and is designated for industrial land uses in the general plan. The property is surrounded by industrial uses to the north, south, east, and west. Conditional use permit number 3509 was approved in 1992 to permit an ice skating facility. The facility was improved with one regulation size rink and a smaller ice rink dedicated to practice space. The ice rink building is part of a larger industrial development comprised of 12 buildings with shared access and parking. A parking variance was approved for the industrial complex with the original approval. This request does not involve an expansion of the ice skating facility thereby does not require additional parking. The photo on the screen is a current photo of the main entrance to the ice skating facility, which is located to the northeast of the industrial building. No exterior improvements are proposed as part of this application. The request is to allow a Type 41 ABC license. This license authorizes the sale of beer and wine for on-site consumption. The sale of alcoholic beverages would take place in the cafe concession area only, which is the area encompassed in the blue outline. Although alcohol consumption would be permitted throughout the facility, additional conditions of approval prohibit the sale and consumption of alcohol within the locker rooms. The floor plan on the screen illustrates the prohibited locations within the facility. The ice rink is open daily from 5:30 a.m. to 12 a.m. However, alcohol sales are only proposed between 3 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. Staff believes that amending the conditional use permit to allow the sale of alcoholic beverages for on-site consumption, subject to the recommended conditions of approval, will not be detrimental to the health and safety of the citizens of Anaheim. Conditions have been imposed on the project to minimize potential nuisances typically associated with alcohol sales. Based on the analysis included in the staff report and the findings contained in the draft resolution, staff recommends approval of this request. This concludes staff's presentation. The applicant and city staff are present this evening to address any questions. There's also one minor correction on the resolution which we would like to bring up, and it was something that was already vetted through the Anaheim Police Department. Yeah. It was condition number 13 listed in the resolution prohibits live entertainment in amplified music or dancing permitted on the premises unless the proper permits have been obtained by the city of Anaheim. The request from the applicant is to remove that condition as they have events which they have speakers and amplified music already. It's not a third-party event. It's part of the overall rink, and that was brought up to the police department, which the police department did agree, and the removal of the condition. So it was something that will be removed as part of the resolution. If there are any questions, PD is here as well to answer any questions, and staff.
Questions? Any commissioners? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing then, and can the applicant come forward, please?
Hi, good evening. My name is Steve Rawlings. I'm here on behalf of KHS Rinks. A couple of things. One, we do concur with the staff's recommendation and would appreciate consideration on the modification of that one condition. And it's really specifically the amplified music. As you can imagine, we have figure skating and we have music and so on and so forth. Just the other thing that I wanted to, and I apologize, I did not mention this to Ivan or the police department, but I think that Ivan and I spoke about it briefly at the beginning of this. Condition number 14 says there shall be no admission fee. Well, when we have open skate, you are charged a fee. So I think it was more or less interpreted like a bar and or a cover charge, but our business is like a movie theater or anything else. We do have a fee. So I just wanted to put that for the record. I don't know if we need a modification on that, but we're not going to stop charging people just to be able to sell them beer. So, I would like, Ivan, did you track that one?
I am actually looking into that condition and also referring back to the original entitlement just to make sure if there was anything there.
I want to jump in there. We're mostly concerned about no fees being charged for alcohol consumption. So as the matter of course of their regular business to be charged to come in like a roller skating rink or ice skating rink, you pay an admission to come in and do that. We're okay with that. It's just not charging an admission to have access to drink the alcohol.
And that's consistent with what Ivan and I had spoke about but I just wanted to bring it.
So we could modify condition 14 to address the police department's concern to just restrict that to there shall be no admission fee for alcohol service, purchase, consumption.
Works for me. Other than that, I'm available for any questions that anybody has, and I hope that you've had a chance to skate at the ice rink before.
Lucille?
Yes, thank you. I don't even know that this existed, so I'm thrilled that it's here. Do you rent ice skates?
There are skates available for rental, yeah, just like a roller rink or
Right,
things like
okay.
that, yeah.
And do you give lessons? Is anybody there for that?
There are more like private lessons. There are some competitive figure skaters that use the rink and they come with their coaches and so on and so forth.
Want to share any names?
I wouldn't know those, but
The
I
Winter
can.
Olympics is coming up.
You can call down to the facility, I'm sure they can help you out with that.
Okay. Well, this sounds like a wonderful facility. I wish you all the best with your beer and wine.
Well, thank you. They're happy with the investment. They did a remodel on their whole concessions there because they just wanted the experience to be a little bit better for the guests and people that are there.
One more. Are you open every day?
Yeah, they're open daily. I mean, except for major holidays and so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Perez?
Yeah, two questions. So usually when is kind of the start time for your last event for either Monday through Fridays and the weekends?
So they do run ice hockey leagues, and for adult hockey leagues, you end up playing pretty late at night. There are games that start like at 11 o'clock at night because, you know, the youth kind of take priority. And so if you're a hockey guy and or a gal and you're a little bit older, you're going to play a little bit later at night. So.
My second question is, do you guys allow off-premise food into the building or no?
I don't know the answer to that question. Quite honestly, probably not. Just like a movie theater or something like that, we have our concession stand, and obviously that's a part of the revenue stream.
Okay. No, I was just curious because I know there's like the Uber Eats kitchen that we approved, and it's like right next door to it. So I was just wondering because I know there's like 30 restaurants in that kitchen, but just curious.
Anyone else? Okay, anybody, no public comments? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, and
I'll make the motion with the modification of 14 and deletion of 13 if we're okay.
Second.
very good.
Five yes votes, the motion carries.
Very good. Thank you very much.
All right, well, first update is that we'll be adjourning tonight's meeting to the August 26th meeting, so we will not have a meeting on August 12th. And on July 23rd last week, the City Council did approve the Public and Veterans Cemetery at their meeting, and so at the next council meeting on August 13th, there will be the second reading for that project, so that was approved. So short and sweet tonight, and that's all the announcements and updates I have.
I've got something I'd like to bring up. I don't know if this is the appropriate venue. I'm not 100% sure this is a planning commission discussion, but I thought I'd throw it out there. And I'm actually glad you mentioned the cemetery because that plays into it. In consideration of the workshop we had last weekend and, you know, the volumes of people talking about the traffic situation and the fire danger situation and that, you know, basically with evacuation issues, coupled with the neighbors who were concerned about the veteran cemetery. Most of what we heard was traffic. We heard about that intersection's got, you know, it's got an F rating. And I've actually heard, and I don't know how accurate it is, that that intersection's had an F rating for decades. So what was proposed at the last meeting by staff for this major proposed apartment complex was put in another traffic signal. And the first thing that hit my mind is that's got to be the last answer. I'm quite familiar with a possible solution that we don't seem to use anywhere in the city that it gets the greatest number of people through an intersection at the quickest rate of time and in the safest possible manner, and that's traffic circles. So I don't know, I'm kind of throwing it out there. Is this something we can look at? Maybe, why or why don't we take advantage of them? Am I out of line here? Scott, help me here.
Wish I could. I'm gonna help you by looking over my shoulder here at our traffic engineer.
Great question. Traffic circles, right? And I'm happy to come back to this commission and maybe provide a workshop or some sort of presentation on traffic circles, roundabouts, when they're good to be applied. So there's very specific locations that roundabouts are effective. It's got to be very specific moves that have to be a certain direction in order to make them effective. If one part of the circle is very heavy and you have certain moves, so I'm more than happy to kind of bring that in, and maybe if we want to look at a specific location, maybe we can use it as a test. We can look at it, and I bring the results back to the commission and present what we find.
Would the commission be amenable to that?
Sounds great to me.
I would, because there's a roundabout right there on Clementine that just goes right into the park. There's a roundabout there.
And so that one the one next to Pearson Park is the one that you're talking about, right? And so those are small neighborhood level traffic circles that are meant to slow people down, right? Anything potentially on San Ana Canyon Road, which I think is what you were alluding to, would be more to facilitate the large flow. I'm thinking it'd have to be something like Long Beach has over at Los Carneros Circle, right, where PCH intersects. A lot of vehicles moving, but you have to have a very specific traffic flow in order for it to not break down. Because if one part of your circle is just getting overloaded, then it breaks down. But happy to look into it and happy to come back and present to the commission.
All right, I think we want you to do that.
Okay, is there a specific particular location that you were looking to see, or just have us take a look at a one that we think would be good to look at that may be feasible? Because another thing to consider too, and I don't mean to go, there's a lot of things that are going through my head right now. I'm a nerdy engineer, so I always like to think and talk, is right of way. Traffic circles and roundabouts are always going to take up a lot more right of way than your typical
That I
four-legged
understand.
intersection. So a big thing that prevents traffic engineers from putting in traffic circles and roundabouts in a lot of locations is how much land are we going to have to take from the adjacent property. So that's why I ask if there's one particular one that we want to look at so we can look at the reality of it, right, with respect to right of way.
Well, I haven't thought that far into it, so maybe you come up with one or two suggestions and we can look at that.
I think to look at it objectively, I would recommend maybe looking at Imperial and San Ana Canyon Road. Reason I'm recommending that one is
Dilly.
because it's got a lot of movement in all
Yes.
directions. If we look at Weir and San Ana Canyon Road, it's all coming off the freeway and going west, right? So I don't think we're giving it a fair chance if we look at that one, because it's going to break down, because that flow is very heavy in just one quadrant. If we look at that San Ana Canyon Road and Imperial one, that may be the one that we look at a little
There you
more
go.
objectively.
All right, thank you very much.
I would say, just to give you guys a rough timing, and not knowing when the that development project that led to you having this question, I would say give me 4 to 6 weeks just to take a look at it. I've got to do some data collection just so we have something to bring back to you.
Okay, and just to be clear, it's not just the one development. It happens to be two in roughly the same area that are proposed at roughly the same time with the same complaints. So, okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
To add to that, maybe, a lot of people emailing and calling recently have been concerned about the fire and evacuations from the hills. Could we perhaps get a presentation on that in particular? As to exit ways when there's a fire? I think
Before you answer on exit ways, I do want to say as part of the analysis that has to be done under the California Environmental Quality Act addresses creating any potential hazards, which does address evacuation and threat of wildfires. So that will be part of the analysis that will be presented to you. Certainly, if you are interested in not a project specific, but more of how our wildfire evacuation plans created and implemented with coordination between both Public Works as well as the fire department, I'm certain staff can do that as well. I'm just not sure what you're.
I think I'm more the later than the former. I think last week, the difference was very well explained in the workshop, but I mean, I think there's probably, what, 4 basic ways out other than the freeway or going across to Yorba Linda. So I was just curious about that. Ed
Raphael, would
wants
it
to
be-
speak.
could it-
We can absolutely. We've got a Know Your Way campaign that we've developed after Canyon Fire 2. It was in conjunction with our police department, fire department, and public works as well. So we can absolutely come in and, as our city attorney said, come in with a kind of a project agnostic, right? Just letting you guys know what we're doing. And I'm happy to share this too, is we understand what we have out in the Anaheim Hills area. Public Works, in conjunction with our police department, fire department, put in for a CAL FIRE grant to prepare an emergency evacuation plan for that area there. We've been shortlisted, and I actually just submitted stuff right before this planning commission, just some of the questions that they asked me. Hopefully, we're hopeful that we are able to get it so we can develop a very robust evacuation plan. But we do have a plan in place, and we're happy to present that here at the commission as well.
Is that something we're interested in?
Yes. Okay.
I would appreciate it. Do you want to say something, Mr. White? Okay, very good. With that, I guess we're done, unless anyone else has anything else. Have a good night.